Yo, what up, and welcome to Encounter the Spire, where we talk about fights that I like and Slay the Spire too. A game I like. This episode, we're gonna talk about the elites in Act 3 Glory. Now, Act 3 really feels like a final exam of your skills as a deck builder and as a player. You have a bunch of events and fights that really pushes your ability to deal damage or handle a variety of situations, lets you get punished, especially these wall scroll guys that take out your HP. That is definitely a way to introduce you to Act 3 and a bunch more fights that feel like elites if they were in any other act. And speaking of elites, of course, this episode is going to be about them. So let us begin with the Knight Trio. Now, these three aura farmers really have that Act 3 vibe. I really like their designs. Even the Flail Knight with his swinging flails, I guess. Especially Spectre Knight with his half bone skeleton armor thing. It's really cool, and it's even like a departure from Champ, which looks like a more stereotypical knight. And as for the fight with these knights, you're really tested as to how you value your deck in terms of their upgrades or their mortality or even your HP, because each of these knights deal with those things very specifically. So you have to really learn to evaluate your cards on the spot, and it is a skill that's actually going to be helpful against a lot of the current Act 3 bosses. Whether you want to keep them in the deck, you need them upgraded, or you need to live in case you have to do any more fights. So, as for how to beat them, I think it is just more a review of your deck itself. And again, if you have, and since this is a group fight, if you have really good AoE, it will work wonders. And then if you have powerful burst damage, it will also be very awesome. And many, including me, prioritize Spectral Knight first because making your cards ethereal is scary. But as you play this fight more and more often, you actually realize that it's not that bad and he doesn't deal that much damage, and you'd rather focus on Magi Knight or Flail Knight. In fact, I even prioritize Flail Knight in a few runs simply because he deals a lot of damage, him and those big clanky balls. Overall, this fight is really awesome. It's fun. It can be a little bit stressful, but I think that is the point anyway. So I give them a round table out of 10. Next, we have the Soul Nexus. Now, this is a character with a simple design and simple fight. And its simplicity is actually something that I have come to realize that I appreciate as I play more games. I remember saying before in Act 2 that I don't like that one of the fights, the Red Dorito, but now I realize that I think each act would benefit from having one of them being as simple as such, and it so that you can turn it into a limit test for your deck's attack and defense. Now, vibes wise, again, it is also simple. It is just a ginormous eye. And if you look closely, you see a bunch of these souls spinning around them. And of course, you have to wonder whose eye is that eye, right? And we don't know. Maybe it really is just an eye. There are weirder things in the Spire, so I try not to worry about it too much. And as for the fight, I also try to not worry about too much because there's really no big gimmick in this fight. It will just attack a lot, and it's either you smork it down with a bajillion damage, or you are able to weaken it, defend very well, and manipulate your deck in such a way that you will take minimal damage. So in a way, this is just a cool fight that reviews your basics. Strike hard, defend good. And as you play more and more, it becomes kind of chill in a way that you already know what you need to do. And there's really no big change in your strategy. So overall, it is a pretty good fight, pretty by the numbers kind of fight, and I really like that there's a fight such as this. I give it a Roto Z out of 10. And finally, we have the Mechanite, who is just a little guy. Now, this little guy is very cool. I really like that they kinda are consistent with the automaton designs, with the colors of this yellowish gold and blue that most of the robots in the game have, including our boy Defect. And it's nice that you fight something a little more familiar, maybe a little more futuristic, you can even say, in the Spire against all the weird or cosmic horror or the just strange creatures that you fight. Speaking of fights, this is a set pattern kind of fight where you already know what it's gonna do each turn. It's gonna attack, then it's gonna give you burns, then it's gonna charge up, then it's gonna attack, and then the cycle continues. So it doesn't really scale that high, but what it scales with is annoyance because it gives you so many burns that if you have a lean deck, it will really mess you up and clog your hand very quickly, giving you a hard time getting to the cards you want. However, this is also the only fight that really allows you to breathe and set up, which makes card draw and card manipulation very godly in this fight. What is not godly is the fact that Robo Goblin here has a lot of artifact, which means if you are a deep buffing deck, you will have a hard time. And it has a decent amount of HP as well, that it's really hard to Mega Burst the Mega Knight. But then again, that is the point, and you have time to set up. Overall, I really like the design and the mechanics of this fight. It's really nice to have something that's very expected, as well as something that is a difficulty spike in terms of your options. In this case, giving you a bajillion burns to really just ruin your day. So yeah, I give it a Voltron out of 10. Now, in conclusion, I didn't expect to really love this lineup. When I play against them, I usually a little bit stressed, even though I enjoy it a lot. But if you look at them through their designs and their mechanics, I realize that this really reflects the new vision Megacrit has for Slay the Spire 2. And I know damage numbers can be a big issue when it comes to criticizing these fights, but to me, I do not worry about that too much because that is technically the easiest thing to adjust. But how they fight, the entire mechanics of the fight, that is a skill Megacrit has improved. Of course, there's still a few that they need to work on, especially when it comes to Doormaker, but that is a different topic and a different thing altogether. Now, lastly, a little bit of tangent. I still wonder why they named this act Glory, whereas all the other acts are a place, Hive, Overgrowth, Underdogs. So maybe Glory is something like an actual place, or Glory is what you want to achieve, or Glory because you fight knights and all these kinds of characters, making it feel like an Elysium from Hades where great people live here. It's also interesting that the top of the spire is more structured than the previous acts, which is an inverse of the first game. And also, if this is Act 3, then the alternative Act 3 that is coming will probably be super degenerate or very difficult, kind of like how I think about underdogs. So I'm very excited for that. Now, thank you all for watching. And usually I would just say bye be here and end the video. But I also would like to say that this is probably going to be the last video for now in this format. By format, I mean this PowerPoint format. Now, I really like making these videos. But right now, I would like to focus my energies in making one big project over a series of small projects. It is something that I've been interested in doing for quite some time, and I think I would not be able to do it if I still have to do something like this. I will come back to this maybe in a different way, probably once State Aspire 2 is out of early access, which is going to be a while, I know, but there's also a lot of things I would like to talk about in State Aspire right now that don't need waiting for early access, and also a bunch of things that aren't State Aspire, surprisingly, even though it's just a State Aspire channel right now. I actually plan on doing more than that, and I'm just rambling right now. In any case, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye bye.